Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, and welcome back to Modern Musings. Welcome to a brand new year, Season 5, Modern Musings. We are so happy to be here, and we are so happy to be kicking off this new year with some new goals and new you, new me, new us. Let's start this off with a bang, right?
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. I'm Sydney Murray. I am here with my co-hosts Amber Jones and Kristen Hessler.
Bang,
Hi.
bang.
Anyway, we are starting our year off with some new goals, and we're here to talk about some of our new goals and what we're doing with our new goals. We also promised you last season that we would come back and tell you our one little word. I'm ready to tell my one little word. I don't know if
Yep.
everybody else has chosen theirs yet, but I know what my word is going to be. Do you guys?
Yeah.
You know what
yeah,
your
yeah,
word is too?
I know what
Okay.
it is.
So we're just kicking off the year, and we want to get off to a really good start. So I'm gonna start by telling what my one little word is, and my one little word for this year is going to be okay. I decided I played with a lot of different words. Some of the words that kind of came to me throughout last year. I had a lot of companion words that which we've talked about those too. Those are words that kind of pop up throughout the year, and sometimes they ride along beside our year. And last year, my word was balance. And so I had a lot of words that kind of cropped up with that, and I thought I might go with one of those because I looked at things like flow and thrive and some other things. And late in the year, it finally I was watching the content of another podcast, and or was a video, and I saw on someone's shelf just the letters OK, and it hit me right there that was the word that needed to be my word. After the year that I've had, after having struggled through now and light and balance and how difficult and challenging some of those words were, I just needed a word that was okay. I needed to be okay. I needed to I think the word okay means a lot of things. It can mean it's just subsisting, or it can be really good and positive. So, but it's never negative. Okay is never negative. It's always an affirmative. So, I think that's a great word for me this year. Amber, Kristen, have you what word have you chosen this year?
My word last year was momentum
Mm-hmm.
because I had started grad school. I was starting grad school and I was picking things up and things were cooking. And this year, I want to kind of tone it down a bit. And it kind of goes with my goals that we're going to talk about, but simplify.
I think that's a great word. It has been one of my words. Actually, I retained that word for probably 2 or 3 years in a row, as I tried to kind of scale my life down a little bit.
Yeah, and
And
that's what I need.
yeah,
Getting married and having all of this stuff, and then I just need to simplify things.
yeah, that's
Pare
great.
things down, make your life more streamlined.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. So mine is kind of stemming off of my word pause.
Mm-hmm.
So exploring my word pause, I found that I actually have to like allow that process to happen, and it wasn't like a really pushy word at all.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that. Moving into this year, I'm really wanting to explore self expression, being grateful for myself, my own personal person, and celebrating me. And so my word is going to be.
That's a great word too.
And I think it'll also play into like the multifaceted of the word. Let it be good, be grateful, be myself, be patient. I could do anything with it.
Right, right, right.
So I'm really excited with the opportunity to see where it goes because my word always transforms a little bit from what I thought it would be.
Hmm.
So I know that B will manifest lots of things that are already there in me
Right,
that
right.
I go like, oh, now I have the freedom to be myself because I'm saying that's what I'm going to do.
Right,
so I'm
right.
really excited to see how it plays out.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, in along with starting our new words every year, this is also the time when we set our new goals, and sometimes we've been thinking about those goals for the last, 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, and kind of um, doing some self assessments and trying to figure out what our values are and some of those kind of things. And that's when we decide what our goals we're going to tackle. I have not completely set all of my goals, but I have established a few goals, and so I was going to share some of those today. So one of the ones we just got through going to a book burn event, which is not a book burning, a book burn event. And that was what would you call that? It's an exploration of releasing the negative things in your life. We used some handmade books and we journaled in them. A lot of negative things that are in our lives that we want to release, things that we want to let go of, and converted those things into things we want to embrace, or transfigured those things into something that was
Positive.
more positive for us. And then we offered those books to the fire, to release those things from us, and it was a very powerful experience. It was a weekend, and we had a cord cutting ceremony separating ourselves from the negative things that have happened to us, and learning to appreciate what we've learned from those things, and then just letting the things themselves go while retaining what we've learned from it. And it was very powerful. And through the process of that, one of the things that I determined was one of my goals was to be more consistent in producing content for Modern Musings. And this is something, when we first started out, our intention was to produce a podcast every week and 3 blogs, one for each of us. And I cannot set goals for the other girls, but I can set goals for myself of what I am trying to accomplish with that. And that is for me to be more consistent every week with the podcast and with writing my blog and getting those posted on time. And in fact, the actual goal is to get them done in advance so that I'm not sitting here editing a podcast 5 minutes before it's set to stream. So, which sometimes happens. And so I'm trying to get a little bit better, a little more consistent with that content. And we talked about some of that. And another goal that kind of goes with that is our workbook that we've been working on. I think we've mentioned it several times. We were hoping to have it completed this past fall for a release, and we just didn't quite get there with it. We hit some hurdles and just kind of hit some walls with it. And so what I really want to get back into also is that consistently working on that in a methodical way. And Kristen she ran across a really great was it YouTube? It's a YouTube video, right?
Yeah, I actually saw it on his Discord channel, but
okay.
he is a YouTuber that we've mentioned in the past. Struthless, he's the gentleman who had the 70% method or rule that I like have been living by that, and it's been keeping me sane. He is a artist and also does a lot of videos on self-improvement, and he had a video that he shared about a year ago, and I don't know how I missed it, but it's called an analog computer, and it's not a computer in the sense of what you think of today, like a laptop or a desktop or a phone, but like a wall board that he's created, that he keeps track of his goal progress. And one of his goals that it was his main focal goal, that was a big goal, was his book that he was working on. And he had all the chapters. We'll share the link for sure on the blog. And you'll have to go watch it because you have to see it to really
appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely. Because I mean, he is an artist, and he's taking it to this like extreme, like artistic level,
and a physical representation of the process.
Yes, but I felt like it really spoke to, you know, some of the processes that we are going through with our own goal setting and things that we had talked about with like SMART goals. So it's very. It's almost like SMART V, because it's not just, you know, sticking with a SMART goal that's attainable and timely and measurable, but visual.
Yes.
Because I think that for me, that's the biggest thing that I need in setting a goal is if it's not like
visual
in
accountability
my face and I don't see it, I am not going to hold myself to it. And it's not also just about checking off the box and tracking it, but gamification, which is where you make it kind of like a fun game also. And so basically, for this one piece of his quote unquote computer, if you think about like an application on your computer, or a process that a computer runs, that's kind of what this is. So he had like a calendar, and he had like places for other things. And this one particular goal was his book. And so he had all the breakdown steps of the goal
for each chapter.
Well,
he had a marker. He had a marker for each chapter.
No, he had a marker for each step.
Oh, yeah.
And each chapter was this little piece that he moved across his board.
That's right.
So it literally was like a game, because he had to get all the pieces across the board to the completion. And it started off with like rough draft and the editing process, and you know, it's a graphic book as well, so there was the drawing, the coloring, the digitizing as well. So each little puzzle piece had to go through all of those steps, and that's how he could track like what was completed, how far along he's gone, and it's right there at his desk, so he can see it every day. And it's a moving parts type of board. It's interactive, so there was also a spinny wheel, because one of his other main projects that's an ongoing project, that's a maintaining goal. Like we've talked about having goals that you're just maintaining. And like for this one was his YouTube channel, so he had the spinny wheel, and he would turn the dial on the next step for his YouTube process, because same thing, each video has to have the planning, the setup, the recording, the editing,
The voiceover.
the posting, and maintaining even the comments in some cases.
Right.
So and maybe even follow through with advertising or posting on social media, or linking back to it at a further date. So that wheel is constantly turning, and I'm guessing he does one video at a time probably, and so he just turns the wheel, and that's what he's working on today. And it keeps him limited because he can see, like, these are my 2 big projects, his big hairy goal, and then his big maintaining project. And then he had like space at the bottom that I really liked, that was cool stuff, or you know, like when your mind goes, ooh, I want to do rock painting, and you already have like 15 other crafts that you haven't finished.
Right.
And now you're wanting to do a whole new craft that requires you to buy all new supplies. So it's kind of like my matrix.
Yes.
My craft
Yes.
matrix. And I thought, like, okay, I want to do this. This board. Maybe mine won't be like as hand-drawn and artistic, but I could put my craft matrix on there. And, you know, some of the other things, like I set 5 goals every year on craft projects, and I have a goal every year as far as the books I'm going to read. Like this year, Amber and I had, or last year, we had a book trading thing where we swapped books, so I had to hold myself accountable to reading
this
those
year,
kind of in
I'm
time.
hoping we're going to do it this year as well.
Absolutely. So I want to put that on there too, so that I can also keep up with like what book I'm reading.
Right.
I did a bracket with those books last year, the 12 books. So there was a bracket, and I voted on which one after I read of the 2. One, you know, like January and February. Okay, January 1, it moved into the next bracket, and it went up against March and April. So I'm thinking about doing that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like when I can see it, it motivates me. I'm a
Right.
very visual person. I'm learning that more and more about myself. Like, I started out, I think it was early last year, I was trying to make like a hub. And I've heard it called a dashboard.
Yes.
I've heard it called mission control and command center, and that's really what I want to create. This one not necessarily like central in the home to share with everyone, so I may need like one for the home that everyone participates in, where you can put like,
Oh, yeah.
these are your chores, these are your expectations, this is what we're having for dinner, and this is what Raina's doing after school. Like, I really want to do that because both my husband and my child are also very visual people, and it's easier to communicate with them that way than it is for me to be like, hey, we're having hamburger helper for dinner, you know, don't forget to pull the beef out of the freezer. Like,
Right.
that's not like good. That doesn't work for us. My husband always has his headphones in, and I'm always at work. So I'm trying to think creatively for this year how I can achieve goals, maintain those spaces, and I'm really thinking about doing one
Some
of those
version of that.
Yeah, a version of that. Now, my question is where? How
yeah.
big is it going to be, and where is it going to go? Because if you've seen my house, I have every wall is covered in like a bookshelf or a frame. So I may need to find a place, you know, like behind a door or something.
But then, you know,
then it's
that's always a
still
problem
not,
too,
like,
because
in
then it's
your
not
face.
visible. It needs to be. If
Yeah.
you do something like that,
Yeah.
that's the point of it. Is it has to be like over
Yeah.
your desk or right in the
No.
center of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Or
I know, and my desk is at a window,
Mhm.
and also my desk is like really deep, so I can't reach the wall.
Oh yeah, so that
very
makes it
well.
hard to
Yeah, I don't
move
know if-
things.
how
yeah.
well I would be able to do. Yeah, without. I mean, I could get a little stepping stool. That would make it a little bit easier because that would just make me a little bit taller. But I don't know. That's something I'm gonna plan out this year, and I'd really like to like make it a reality pretty quickly so that I can start using it. But I was thinking that the Modern Musings goal setting thing that we're doing is
That
a
we've
really
been-
good one for that, because
Right.
it actually has like those steps
Yeah, they're
So,
very similar to his book
yeah.
writing steps, and that was when you showed it to me, it really did resonate with me because I thought that's exactly what we need because every time we sit down to work on it, we discovered this. We would start at the beginning
To
and
refresh our memory.
refresh our memory, and we're going back through, and then we're tinkering with all these things at the beginning, and we never get through, you know,
Mhm.
the other chapters because we get to the same place,
And
and
we
it's
don't
like
even have rough drafts on some.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so by having that, okay, we've already got the rough draft on these. Don't touch them again. Go move to the next chapter and do the rough draft for it or whatever. And so I thought that that really does make a lot of sense to work. And we talk about this in our goal setting and stuff, in the SMART goals and things like that, about setting those steps and having that timeline, make everything accountable to time. And I'm going to have this done on this day or by this day, or I'm going to work on it on this day
Mm-hmm.
or on these
Mhm,
days or
mhm.
whatever. And it's specific. It's always this is exactly what I need to be working on. This is exactly what I need to do on these days. And it becomes set in stone, and it becomes part of your routine, and then it becomes natural for you to work on those things.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think that would be really helpful with me, with both of those two goals, both because both of those goals are very similar to the goals that he has. One, consistent content for Modern Musings, and then the other being the book that we've been the workbook that we've been working on. So those are or two of my major goals for this coming year. And then what goals have you set, Kristen? Have you determined what your goals are yet, or have you kind of started, even if you haven't really fleshed them
Yeah.
out?
So this year I think I want to go back to setting a reading goal.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I didn't set a goal there because I wanted to focus on other areas and I knew I was going to read anyways. Um so I think I'm going to go back to just setting like a number of
Mm-hmm.
books that I want to read and see where that takes me. I'm not going to make it like a really big goal, but I just like being able to say, like, I achieved XYZ versus I read
Right.
XYZ, because then I feel like, could I have done more? Did I hit my. I didn't have a goal, so was I just. Did I do it enough? Or, I mean, I don't think a lot of people analyze that much about how much they read, but maybe some people do. So maybe those of you do understand that. But I get kind of like slowed down in a book.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
And
Sometimes I feel like I haven't read enough
yeah,
because some
because I
books
got
take me
stuck on
longer
a
to
book
write.
and it took me like 2 months just because I couldn't.
Couldn't focus.
I was focusing. Yeah. I was focusing myself on reading this book and
Focusing.
I was enjoying it, but not enough that I was reading more than a couple of pages at a time, because
Right.
I wasn't going, oh my gosh, I can't wait to finish dinner so I can go read. I was like, after dinner I could read or watch blah, blah, blah. And I was choosing
To go watch
to
blah,
not
blah, blah.
read
Yeah.
because I wasn't that excited about the book. And then I'd go to bed and like, well, I'll read a little bit because I still want to read.
Right.
And so I was trying to like cram in both. But when I'm really passionate about the book I'm reading, I'll read like nonstop.
Right.
And so this year, I think I'm going to go back to, obviously we have our book thing, our book swap, and then just like really like going, keep reading, keep hitting that goal and pacing myself, because I definitely didn't hit the goal in 2024. If I even set one, I didn't even come close because I just kind of like flittered by.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a long long answer to your question, but so one of my other, and I also have to be more realistic too, because my goal is to finish my college degree.
Right.
So, as Amber knows, being a student and working, and I remember this whenever I was in college, and working full time, that you don't always have time to read for pleasure because you're reading for school.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't want to set, a lofty book reading.
Right.
And I know a lot of people start out on the first and they already know what their goals are, but this didn't happen for me this year. So sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And, last year on the first, I already knew what my goals were, but then my dad passed away. Right after the first, and I fell off the wagon of going to the gym. That was so hard to get back on. And, a lot of the family goals that we had, just my heart wasn't in it. So this year, I think it's about getting back in, getting some goals that are going to really make my heart happy when I achieve them.
Mm-hmm.
Not just these goals that I'm probably not going to accomplish, like trying to be healthy,
Or doing things you feel like you should do. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I always feel like I should do that goal.
Yeah.
Because I'm not physically fit. So I'm automatically, I feel like I'm expected to have losing weight as a goal.
Yes.
And I'd probably lose more weight if I just didn't set it as a goal and I just,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I might
Yeah.
explore that because I've never not had that as a goal. I've
If
never
you
not
set
had
it as a goal, which I can say that
Yeah.
I've had it set as a goal as a past, but I haven't the last couple of years.
Mhm.
If you set it as a goal, it looms over you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In
True.
every decision that you make, you have it on paper that your goal is to lose weight. So then it kind of, so then if you want to eat like that candy bar or whatever you want to eat, like that piece of bread, and then it makes you second guess yourself and it looms over you like, oh my God, I fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
I've lost my path. I've lost my way. I might as
You
well
guilt
eat all the food.
You
I'm
guilt yourself
guilty.
into it, and then it wrecks your other
And then
goals as well. Yeah.
And then, like you said, you fell off the wagon for exercising or whatever. And then, that also eats at you because, you already messed up your exercise goal for the week.
Yeah.
And what, a lot of people that, set goals and they're, really hardcore about it, you just have to understand that, every day is a new day and that you have to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
As far as your goals. And I know, Cindy, I've heard you agonize about oh, I'm not meeting my goals and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that the important thing is that you have goals.
Yes, I think so too.
And there are so many people out there that don't have goals.
I agree with that as well.
I talk to people all the time and they don't have goals, and I'm like, how are you alive? No, not really, but just
Yeah, well, literally, isn't staying alive a goal?
yeah, right. But it's just it's kind of like those people that don't like music.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I
them.
don't understand.
I
that
don't
either.
either.
But not judging or anything if you don't like music, but
I just don't understand. I don't.
But I meet I meet people all the time with my work and college and everything, and you're in college, so you should at least have the goal that you want to get an A or
you
want
wanna graduate.
You want to finish college. But then again, I think a lot of times people go to college because they feel pressured,
Right.
which is why I initially went to college, but that's another story for another time. It's just that people feel pressured by their family to be first generation, and then they don't meet those goals and they start locking it down on the inside. And that's one thing that I used to do in the past. If I get overwhelmed with something all this trying to meet my goals, then I would just shut down. So I started simplifying my goals because,
Mhm.
we're always trying to get healthy. There's always that, but that should just be like something that you do. We're always trying to eat better, exercise more. Those are just like given type things that people do. New Year's resolutions or whatever. Those are just, you should be try to get healthy. You should try to exercise. You should do all those things like Kristen said. So, I try to make my goals more practical. Like my big, hairy, audacious goal this year is it goes with my word, to simplify my life. Like I have all of these things, all of these possessions given to me, through my mom's death and my dad's death, and then my grandma going into the nursing home. And I have all like storage units worth of things that I've been paying for years. And I've, probably spent enough money as like a new car on storage units over the past 6 or 7 years. So I just kind of like said to myself a couple of months ago that I don't want to pay for this anymore. I need to make it my goal this year that after this next year, this year right now, 2025, I'm not going to pay for storage units anymore.
Yay.
Yay.
That's a
Or
great goal.
at least, cut that in half. Just have a tiny storage unit.
Right.
Not pay $200 and something a month on storage unit, because that's like an extra $200 and something rent or whatever.
Right. And that last year, it was not initially one of my goals, and Kristen kind of talked about this, that I had started setting my goals. I'd started putting my goals together for 2024, and my husband died on January the 3rd, and it basically just threw a big old monkey wrench right in my gears, and the goals that I had completely changed. And I really thought, well, they've changed a little, and I kind of progressed on. I mean, obviously it was a big change, but it shouldn't affect my goals, because my goals are still my goals. But then as things progressed, the complexities of the legalities of handling my husband's affairs and converting properties into my name and things like that just became overwhelming. And I really wound up only setting a couple of goals last year. One of them kind of goes back to the storage unit thing. I wound up with I originally had a garage, a 2-car garage full of other people's stuff. And some of it was my stuff too, because as people moved in and out of our house, my mother, our friend who passed away from cancer, my niece, they brought things in with them, and or I moved my things out of rooms of the house so that they could have that bedroom. And so my stuff was all stored there, and then it never went away. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to the point where I had the garage was full. I had 3 storerooms or storage sheds in my backyard that were all full to the brim of stuff. And some of it was my stuff, some of it was my mom's stuff, some of it was my niece's stuff, some of it was my son's stuff. And we just kind of slowly started going through it. And then I realized this is a much bigger project. And it actually became my big, overwhelming project last year to empty out those 3 sheds, clean out my garage. And then I actually wound up having to demolish the 3 sheds because they were in such poor shape that the things in them were getting ruined. So I had to buy a new shed and have it installed. So it became this huge project that took me most of 2024 to get done. And so I really never set the other goals that I thought I was going to set last year, wound up not coming to pass at all. And so this year, I'm kind of starting. They're big goals, but I'm kind of narrowing it down to just these few things because I really only have capacity for so much, and sometimes the goals are big enough that they are more time consuming than you think they might be. And I really do think breaking it down into these smaller steps, like the Struthless video, whether you use like his bulletin board or you use a bullet journal and pages in a bullet journal and you
Yeah.
work it that way or whatever, having it broken down into those steps and taking care of it bit by bit, bite off one little piece at a time,
Mm-hmm.
day by day by day by day. And so, like I said, the overarching projects that I really want to take care of are my content for Modern Musings and the book that we're working on. But I have a couple of other things too, like ongoing things like maintaining my house, maintaining my finances. Those are big things that fall on my shoulders now because my husband is no longer here. And even though like you say, I've had people tell me also that they have no goals, and I'm like, but don't you want to live? That's a goal, right?
Right.
Just being alive, staying alive is a goal. Staying healthy is a goal. Paying your bills is a goal. So, you know, you got to manage those things. And so paying my bills, managing my household, things like that. Those are a couple of my process goals that are going on. And I'm not going to worry too much about some of the other categories. I will have goals in those, but I may not work on them at all until I finish the bigger goals that I think need to be worked on at this time. So do y'all have any other goals that you're I mean obviously, one of my goals also is the weight loss thing, and I want to get back into my habit of going to the gym and things like that. And I've gotten better about it in the last few months, but I want to get, again, consistency. I think that's what I'm focusing on, is that consistency.
Well, last year I set a goal for my 40th year, 40 books for my 40th year, and I met that goal. I actually read, well, like in the last year, I read about that many. Like, my goal is usually to read a book a week, which I don't always meet that because, like Kristen was talking about, grad school and everything like that, life is definitely happening. So,
And sometimes books are bigger than other books.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then sometimes you hit a snag. The same book Kristen was talking about, it took me like 3 months to read it.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, I've had a few of those last year too.
yeah, so it's a bit hard, but I'm gonna set a reading goal, and then I've got a health goal. Like you were talking about, like maintaining health, keeping my cholesterol down, taking my vitamins,
Right.
keeping my routines, and those things are just hard to do all the time. Consistency with therapy, which is one of my big goals, not falling off the wagon there, especially like stuff like that, not falling off the wagon and taking my vitamins, not falling off the wagon and going to therapy.
Right.
Not falling off the wagon and just like maintaining myself and meditating and personal hygiene, everything like that. Like, those are always like minor goals, minor maintenance goals for
Mhm.
sure. And, reading more. Uh, I think my husband and I always set like goals to, cook more and spend time together and have date nights and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, those are all what I consider life maintenance goals, like work on your marriage, work on yourself, work on, but just like other than grad school stuff, which I'm hoping to do residency this summer and then start with internship
Mhm.
coming up. So grad school has been my biggest goal for the last couple of years, and finishing grad school hopefully spring of 2026, hopefully,
Very good.
and or at least at the end of summer 2026. So that's like my big goal, is just to keep maintaining like A's, good grades,
Mhm.
which I have been consistently doing. So I want to keep that momentum up this year
Mhm.
as far as that. Haha, momentum. Last year's word.
Sometimes those words stay
Right?
with you
They
for a
stay
while.
with you for a long time.
Keep that up this year, and then work on simplifying things,
Mhm.
because I have like long term goals that I want to reach. I want to eventually move into a new house and eventually get a new car. So another, I suppose, goal is to like step up on the money saving.
Mhm.
And that's another one of those life maintenance goals, is just like setting those. And we talked a lot about boundaries and saving money the last episode. So that's a good boundary to set on yourself, is like not spending too much money or
Right,
buying
right.
useless things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I'm, simplifying things.
Right.
So I don't need to buy all of those extra things.
Mhm. Do you have any you're talking about your goals? Do you have any systems in place, or are you considering any putting systems in place that will help you achieve the goals? Like, Kristen's talking about this analog computer system.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use like bullet journals, some people use different methods of systemizing their work towards their goals. Do you
Well,
have
I'll
anything that you
probably just continue to maintain my list journal,
Mhm.
and that's what I usually use to track my goals. Is
Mhm.
my list journal, so which is a bullet journal,
Yes. Yes.
and I keep my goals on my calendar as well.
Mhm.
And I kind of like when I achieve like something small or something like that, I'll write it on my calendar. So I just don't know if I have like enough room in my life for this big system that Kristen's talking about. Like
Yeah.
her house is put together, mine's not put together
You
like
still
how I
haven't
want
finished
it.
moving in. Yeah. I the one downside to this is that if you are very mobile, you can't really take it with you.
No, you can't.
So
No.
if you're coloring in things on it that are daily, because there were some things that he had that were kind of like trackers. I think one of them was saving money, and then he had one that was walking so many miles. So
Oh,
like
yeah,
every time he
yes.
walked a mile, he would color it in to get to like this goal
Uh-huh.
of like some crazy 100 million K or what. I don't remember what it was, but if you went out of town for like a week,
You wouldn't be able to track it.
you wouldn't
on
be
that.
able
Yeah.
to go in there. So you'd have to set time when you come back to go in
And
make
refresh it.
adjustments
And so
and
you'd
stuff.
have to make notes
Yeah.
while you're gone or
And
something.
I will
Yeah.
say that I had a bullet journal that I started last year and I really enjoyed it, but I just made it too big. I saw one online that was a daily tracker, and I was using this app on my phone for the longest time, and it was like a daily habits type of app, where if you wanted to track, like how many times you meditated, like every time that you meditated, or at least that one time in the day, you would go and like swipe it and it would check it off, and you could have a list. And my list got like really big because I was like, I'm going to read, and then on, these days I'm going to do that. And it really helped me with my ADD because I'm a list person. Like, I need to know what I'm supposed to do every day because I fail on the things that people normally remember to do every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just get so focused on the project that I'll forget things like taking out the trash and
eating lunch.
Yeah. Just the self-care stuff. Like, when was the last time I brushed my hair?
Especially if you work from home.
Yeah, I know. And so that was, I did that before, and then I saw the one in the book, and she used a bullet journal, and she had like all the weeks and all the months. And so she had each page was a task. Well, what I ended up doing, because mine was kind of small, it was like the full 2-page layout was the task. And for the whole year, and I would go in every day. Well, I had so many things because I wanted to recreate that old habit tracker that I had with all the things. And I was just like, do I really need to track that I brushed my teeth?
Right.
Because then I would forget to use my tracker, and then I was like, oh God, well, like, I hope I brushed my teeth now. I'm coloring these in. And then I was just like,
that process of operating those trackers
every
takes
day
longer than it takes to actually do the things. Yeah.
Yes, and I felt like, I think at the end of the day, because I made it too complicated, because I didn't want the colors to be all just like random, because I can't stand that. Like, when there's colors that don't go together, like olive green and like orange red, like I don't like those colors side by side. So I didn't want to just randomly grab the olive green and start coloring it and have all these other beautiful pastel colors. So I was trying to like stick with certain colors, and then I was like, ooh, I could do like these colors this month and these colors that. I made it too complicated. And once you started adding like all these layers to your tracker or whatever, it became complicated. Because
and that's what I wondered about that Struthless analog computer was, is it too complicated too? I don't know,
because it's interactive. I could see where
it could get.
I don't need to turn the wheel to know that I need to do the next task, but I do really like those project boards where you have like your projects on a sticky note and you move them over. Which I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I think that's a Kanban or a Kanban board where you have waiting or to do that you haven't started, and then you have in progress and done. And that one is like super simple, and then you just write down every single thing. And you may not have a million sticky notes. You may just have like a few. And then as new things come up, you add them. And then you make the choice to start the right thing and move it from to do to in progress. So that one is less time consuming, because then you just know, like, when you're starting something, you need to go look. Am I just randomly starting something, or am I starting something on my list? And then when you're done, you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to move this over, So I think just keeping it simple and not letting myself, like, make too many rules will be important.
Yeah,
and
I think so too. Yeah.
That's why I think the bullet journal and because it's closed, then you have to open it. And for me, I'm that type of person, like, the things I use every day have to be sitting out.
Yes.
Or I will forget to use them. So I don't want a bunch of things sitting out, though, because that's like a polarized part of me. That part of me wants things like put away and out of my way so that I can be creative and have space. But then I also need to be able to see those things that I need every day. So if I have this like giant tracker, I don't want it just sitting on a table all the time.
Right,
It needs
right.
to be somewhere where I can see it but grab it. So I think that's where the board might actually help. Now I just need to I have a magnet board already on my wall, and it has like brads and stuff stuck to it. And funny thing is, I don't really use the brads a whole lot because I'm not really in that scrapbooking style of my life. And I thought about moving those little containers to something else or donating them to like the scrap resale shop, and using that magnet board to
Right.
put my goals. Because that's already where I have some other stuff very close by, like my vision board and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that's where it's going to go. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of other goal ideas at this time. Like I think right now I need to get that big goal started before I start like making other plans. Because I need to get realistic with that one.
Right. And that's what I was saying too with mine. I think some of my big goals are so big that they're going to be very time consuming, and just like the big goals that I had last year, and since they are so time consuming, I just need to maintain my focus on that goal only until I get it more manageable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, that's it for our new year, new goals. For now, of course, we will always come back and talk about goals throughout the year, because that's one of the things we love talking about is our goal progress. And we hope that you will join us again on our podcast. Next week, we're talking about
National Hobbies Month next week. So we're
speaking of
talking about
goals,
hobbies.
because sometimes goals have hobbies, or hobbies have goals. Goals have hobbies.
Right.
Hobbies have goals. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And as I mentioned at the head of the podcast, we've got a lot of great content coming up this year. We hope you'll join us. And go check out our MMC chat on Facebook. It's a open group, so you can chat with us there. You can ask questions. You can offer comments. And you can take our polls. And also, don't forget to read the blogs. The blogs are over at modernmusings.net. And you can read our past and present blogs there.
Not the future ones.
You can read the future ones. In the future, you can read those.
Once you have arrived in the present.
Once you've arrived in the then they'll be present. So, have a good week, and we'll be back next week. Bye.